welcome back to Trimble Garage. So today we're going to be carrying on with the installation of a Watson 4-point roll cage in my 2022 Mach 1 Mustang. In the last video we saw, I picked up the roll bar, got it painted to match the car, and also got some of the interior stripped out, ready to install. In this video we're going to complete the install, starting with the removing of the front seats. While you don't need to remove the front seats to do this install, it's going to make it a lot easier, at least I assume it will, to have those seats out of the way. And if you have the rear seat delete option in your Mustang, you are going to have to pull those front seats, because after the bar is in, you put the rear seat panel in, it goes underneath the roll bar. So you're going to have the seats out to do that, which that's what I have. So, but anyway, let's get this video going and pull these front seats out, and hopefully my partner will show up and help me lift this roll bar into the car. So with removing my front seats, because I have got this Scroth, this type of 4-point harness, I'm going to have to remove it where I've got it anchored at the factory seat belt. So I got to pull that bolt out, pull this out to release this harness. The other side of the harness is connected to the factory seat belt release over there. But anyway, once I get that done, all you do is there's down the bottom here, there's 4 little panels. You remove them, 4 bolts, and yeah, pop the seats out. Okay, so with the seats out, it's way easier. Next thing I gotta do is pull this wire harness up. So I'm gonna disconnect the shock sensor, pull the wire harness out, disconnect the seat belt, and also, well, once I get that done, the seam sealer, this seam sealer that's on the face here, that's got to get cleaned off. Yeah, I'll probably just everything just so this is nice and loose that I can slide the roll bar in. So I'm happy to disconnect a lot more than what they say, so it's really easy. All right, I just found my first discrepancy with the instructions. So it talks about removing the connector for the seat belt to get the wire harness out of the way, and that's right here. And on here it says to remove, I've seen this before, like on airbags, you pop a little yellow or orange clip up. This does not have that. So what you do on this is you actually lift with a pick these little white tabs, you lift those up, and then the whole connector will come off. It goes inside here. So I actually had to remove the seat belt so I can get that out and get the other pick. It should go on easy. It should just snap on. But to get this off, I had to remove the seatbelt tensioner to get that off. But my wire harness is all loosened up now. I just got to pop this ground wire off, and then I'm going to clean up, remove these bolts and clean up the seam sealer on here. Okay, so I'm going to install the roll bar. You slide it in from the I'm going to slide it in from the driver's side. And you got to slide it underneath this harness outside the car so that you can then slide it under that side. And then it's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, but to do that, I disconnected the front seatbelt tensioner here, or the lower seatbelt, I guess I should say, so that I could get enough slack on this wire harness. But I think we're ready to, get the wife over here and help me lift this in. All right. The wife is not too interested in helping, so I'm going to try to put this in myself. I'm pretty sure I can finagle this thing in here, so let's do a little time lapse and get it in. All right, so I got the bar in loosely. One thing I had to do was, in the instructions it says you might have to remove these clips off your seat belt here. I still couldn't get it in, it was hitting the bar, so I actually just removed the bolt and pulled the seat belt out. I can put that in after this. The roll bar is gonna sit around there, so I can put it in after. But the next thing I'll do is I'm gonna have to remove that carpet out of the back. And yeah, which means I'm gonna have to take that subwoofer out. Yeah, hopefully that won't be in the way. It shouldn't. And then I can lay my bars out. Okay, so in order to get the carpet out, this stuff here, I had to take the back panel off. That was really easy, just some little screws. It's pretty obvious how that panel comes off. Now I'm just removing the screws from the factory subwoofer. That'll lift off and get that out. And then I can, there's a some push pins up at the top here. I don't know if there's any more. Might be some behind. Oh, I think I can see one up front there. Yeah. So yeah, some push pins, and then pull this carpet out. All right, the next thing I did was bolt the bars to the roll bar there, coming back. You measure the center, basically where the spot welds are, and center it forward and back on the spot welds. So I just did it with some tape. And then I drew some circles inside the holes. So now what I'll do is tighten up the roll bar in the car, and then remove these bars and drill the holes. All right, the bar is bolted in place. I have my holes marked. Just a piece of advice, when everything's set up, tighten these bolts up on the bar, because that did actually move where those back ones are slightly, and I had to remark the holes. So, but anyway, it's all ready to drill holes. The next thing I got to do is jack the car up, get underneath, pop some brake lines loose, and some wire harnesses, so that when I drill through, we don't damage either of those. All right, this is underneath the car. Really hard to tell, but you can see right there is a brake line. Let me get my screwdriver here. This flange right here is where I'm drilling through. So I got to get this out of the way and make sure this wire harness is out of the way. All right, so the outer two holes are 1/2 inch and the inside holes are 1/4 inch. I thought that was odd because of the plates, but now I see why that is, and I'll show you once I get to doing the final bolt in. But yeah, let's take this tape off here. Let's just go ahead and use my uni bit. I've got the brake lines out of the way, made sure they're going to be clear, and we'll go around, drill these holes, and then vacuum up the shavings. Drilled, the next thing I'll do is I'll slide the bars back in place, and what you do is I'll get my wife to screw these in. But basically, the small hole here, this is basically just holding the bracket in place. So all I gotta do, I gotta get up under the car, lift this up underneath, and then she can just screw this in place. And once it's just held, that's all you need to do. So there's 4 of these, and then once these are in place, then you just put the bolts in there and tighten her up. Okay, that's not quite right. What I've got to do actually, before I put those bars in, I need to drill the holes in the rear seat delete panel and notch these bottom corners out. So what I'll do is I'll notch the corners out, fit the seat in, then I've got to figure out where the bars will go through, mark it, drill the hole, then I can put the bars through. Actually, then I got to put the side panels in, then put the seat in, and then slide the bars up through from the back and connect them. So it's quite a bit of a jigsaw process, but we're getting there. So this is the cut that you need to make. It's 2.5 inches from the outer edge and 3 inches up from the bottom at the 2.5 inch mark, and then put a radius there, 1 3/4 inch radius. So I'll do the same on the other side, and I'll take basically my Dremel tool and try to notch that out. Okay, seat's all trimmed up. Next thing is going to be slide it in. And like I say, you roll it underneath the roll bar to get in. This could be a bit of a challenge, but yeah, this is the next step. Okay, the rear seat is bolted in. This is where I'm not too thrilled. You can see, let me get my light here. You can see this line, this is where I had it cut. It's not even close to where it needed to be. It's way more up here. So I scratched the bar a little bit, but that's okay. I can just touch that up with a brush. But I mean, you're not really gonna see it. It's a bit frustrating, but hey, it is what it is. So the next thing I got to do is figure out where these bars pass through the back. And the way to do that, well, I'll show you, but on here, I'm going to put a piece of angle iron down to there with a piece of 1 3/4 inch material on the end, and that'll mark it. It's easier to show you once I get it done. Okay, so to get the position where to drill the holes in the back, what I did is took some 90-degree aluminum bar, tie wrapped it to the stub that comes off, and then I've taken a piece of drain pipe, which is just under 1 3/4 inches, which is 1 3/4 inches is the size of the pipe, and cut that on an angle. So basically now this will sit in there, goes up against that, and now what I'll do is just take a mark around that spot, and that's where the hole will go. I'll do the same on the other side. There we go. Just got the other one done. Holes marked. So now I gotta remove the rear seat panel, drill the holes, and then I gotta put the side panels in. And then the final step will be, for the interior, is putting the seat back in after that. All right, I put the subwoofer and the side panels back in. You can see they do cover up some of the roll bars, so I may have to trim it after it's put in, after I put the bars in. Next step is going to be a tricky one, and that's putting the side panels back in. I think you got to feed them in from the back. I'm not sure. Figure it out though. All right, the next thing, before I put the interior trim pieces in, I've got to cut a notch out. Looks like I'm going around here, it won't be that tight of a corner. I've got to kind of radius it, but it goes almost right to this part of the panel. If this is the tricky part, I'm gonna have to feed this in. Probably gonna have some interference, and then I'm gonna have to Dremel it out. But I'm gonna cut this out now with my Dremel, and then smooth the edges and try and install it. All right, got a little bit more trimming done on there. Hopefully this will fit. I think it might take a couple of tries to. I'm a bit of perfectionist. I don't like big gaps. But anyway, let's try to feed this in. Oh, that's fitting better already. Can't put this down yet though, because I've got to get my seat belt put on here when I put my seat in. That's gonna be a bit of a challenge, but we'll get to that when we'll come to that when we get to it. But I'm gonna trim the carpet a little bit here, but that's looking good. That's not an easy thing to do, but it does work. Both panels are in. The next thing I'm gonna do is give this all a vacuum out. I gotta trim this corner of the carpet down here. Also, excuse me, I'm gonna give the back window a clean, because the chances of doing this again are pretty slim. I don't know how you're gonna clean the back window, but I'm gonna clean the window now, get this all vacuumed out, and then the next thing will be the rear seat panel will go in for the final time. Okay, but before I put the seat in, I gotta drill the holes. So this pipe that I used to mark this was it's just a little bit smaller, about 1/8 inch smaller in diameter. So I'm actually lifting, I've got the hole, starting the hole just a little bit above where this was, because, well, that'll make it correct. But anyway, let's drill some holes. Yeah, it doesn't like to start. I think I'm gonna start get a little pilot hole there. Let's start a little pilot hole right there. All right. This is when you hope your measurements were correct, because there's no going back now. I'll get the vacuum cleaner and give this a vacuum now before I put it in. Okay, just a little update. I had to trim the panels on the side here to get those in, but now they're bolted to the cage. I'll show you in a sec. And ready for the bolts to go through down below. I got to get a hand for that. I'm by myself, so I'll do that this evening. You can see my my 4-point harness there. I got to bolt that in. And for the inside, move around here. I got to vacuum out the carpet nice while it's here. But actually, let me get a light. Get inside here. There we go. So there you go. The bar is in. Looks great. Actually, the the trim there it's pretty good. Everything worked out well. I've got to put the covers back on here now. I can do that. And yeah, get this seat in, but that's the roll bar, man. It looks pretty good. Well, I'll have to get it out in the daylight and get a better look at it. All right, just a quick explanation how this works back here. This screw right here doesn't connect to the plate at all. It actually goes through the body and holds the plate that's on the underside of the car, holds that in place so that you can put the bolts in to tighten them up. So this is just a screw that holds these in place. So these are the last two that I've got to do, and that's the bars finished. I got the other side in already, and then I got to go underneath the car and push the brake lines back into place. Back end is all put back together. I'm not happy with how the trimming went around that little piece up there, but you know what? You'll never really see it anyway. So that's it for the back end, and I got the driver's side seat put back in. The strap is all hooked up, so for all intents and purposes, that is the install of the roll bar. I'm gonna wait till the morning and bring it outside when it's daylight. All right, so the bar is all installed. You can't really see it much until you get in here and look at it. It's actually really cool. When you look in your rearview mirror to see the stripes that match the hood, it's kind of neat. But you know, it's subtle. You don't really see it until you really look for it, which I kind of like. But anyway, it is fully installed, and hopefully I never need it. Okay, so I got the wife's car in the garage. I got to do an oil change on it. But as you saw, the roll bar is completely installed. I'm really happy with it. Happy with that paint scheme. Happy with the fitment. It's a lot of work putting that in. That thing took me probably close to 10 hours to get installed, including the painting and the masking and everything. It was a lot of work. If you're just to paint it one color, it would probably be quite a bit less. But anyway, I like what it looks like, so that's why I did it that way. I'd like to hear your comments on that. But anyway, now, as I said in the beginning, I am safer than I was before. So ready for the track here. In less than 2 weeks, I'm hitting the Area 27. That video should be pretty epic. I got my cameras ready, got GoPro batteries and everything ready to go. I bought some new ones. So hopefully I have no issues and I can put out some good content with that track. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks a lot for watching. Have yourself a great day.